Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to your weekly dose of celestial goodness. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey and in this space. I really can't emphasize just how much I really appreciate you being here. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes of putting together my blog and YouTube channel, but I've learned a lot, and I've really found that creating this content has been very rewarding for me. Sometimes I do get a bit of anxiety, but once I sit down and actually begin the process, that eases significantly. Now, I say this because there might be someone out there listening to this who has something in mind that maybe they want to create. And I'm here to say that you can and you should do it. Create an action plan for your dream and then take action on it. Do it with your hands shaking, do it with your heart beating fast, but just do it. You must remember that when you get a vision, it's yours and yours alone, and you have that particular gift, that treasure, if you must, within you, and you simply don't know how you taking action could change your world or the greater world, or just help you feel like you're living a more purpose-filled life. And it's fun. And maybe that's not your jam. Maybe life is as good as you want it to be, and there's nothing more that you want to do. Maybe you just enjoy partaking in what others have created. That is very necessary and appreciated as well. And if you have started something, write the word consistency down somewhere where you can see it frequently. I've attended lots of talks with authors and writers and other content creators, and they usually get the same question: how did you do X thing? The response is usually the same. They sat down and they did it. Even when it was hard, even when they did not feel inspired, especially when they didn't feel inspired, and even when they had a bunch of other things to do. My own commitment to this channel and to my blog is to do it even on the hard days. And recently there have been some emotionally heavy days for the world, and that can make it difficult to feel the vibe, to do your thing. But I'm asking you to do it anyway. Of course, rest, but do it. So what we're actually talking about this week is actually kind of a twofold conversation. This weekend is Halloween, All Hallows Eve. Jessica Fleming phrased it perfectly when she said, "Around this time of year, legend has it that the veil between the earthly plane and the spiritual plane is thin. This is when the two realms collide, and it's easier for spirits to cross over and to walk among the living and vice versa. Souls who are ready to move on are also prepped for their exit. This time of year coincides perfectly in this hemisphere with the transition to fall and winter. The days are darker, colder, and it's easier to sense that perhaps there's something present in the unseen. In some parts of the world, like Mexico, there are cultural celebrations with their own very complex history. I just have to throw that in there. The ancient Gaelic festival of Samhain marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of the darker half of the year. Now it looks like it's spelled Samhain, but it's actually pronounced Samhain. It's considered to be the Celtic festival of the dead, and there's some debate about whether it's also a time of new beginnings, and some see it as the ancient Celtic New Year. So happy ancient Celtic New Year. In Mexico, it's the weekend for Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead. This multi-day holiday includes and involves family and friends getting together to pray for and remember their loved ones and friends, members of the community who have died. And it's commonly portrayed as a day of celebration more than a day of mourning. A lot of these cultural practices around the world were Christianized and rebranded as All Souls Day, for example. All Souls Day is known as the commemoration of the all faithful departed. To Christians who celebrate this day, it's a day of prayer and remembrance for the souls who have died. In my opinion, Dia de los Muertos is one of the most beautiful celebrations in the world. If you get a chance to look up some stuff about it, you will see it's just a beautiful celebration of those who have passed away, and it is actually a beautiful celebration of life because these people lived. The celebrations are planned during the year, and on the actual holiday, people go to the cemeteries to be with the souls of the departed. Families and friends build altars, private altars, containing favorite foods and beverages, as well as photos and memorabilia of the departed. The intent is really to encourage visits by the souls so that they will hear the prayers and the comments of the living directed to them. Celebrations can really take on a humorous tone, and many people remember funny events and anecdotes about the departed. There are so many cultures around the world that honor their deceased and honor their ancestors. You may be part of a culture or religion or spiritual practice that also sees this weekend and this time as sacred. This year, because of the global pandemic, among other things, many people have lost their lives. Some have lost their way of life, and that too can feel like a death. Just taking a quick moment of silence now for the people who we have loved and lost during this year. Thank you. Because it is said that what is remembered lives on. I also want to add this quote from Cynthia Vidari. She's a folklorist at the Smithsonian, and she says, "Culture is a set of tools created and used by humans to meet life's challenges. A fundamental truth about culture is that it is complicated. In order for culture to serve its purpose, it must be able to adapt to the needs of the user. Individual elements of a tradition can be discarded and new elements can be incorporated. New elements can be added if they meet the aesthetic and practical needs of the expression. Rituals from other communities are accepted if they are meaningful for community. Some aspects of culture can take many years to evolve, and yet others can change very quickly. When a cultural expression no longer serves a function, it can simply cease to exist." I include that quote here because many different cultural practices have had to adapt to continue to exist. We have also had to be able to adapt to the changing nature of life. If you feel called to a particular tradition or practice, it might actually be worth researching to see if it's something that you can work with properly, and of course without improper appropriation. On this weekend, I will actually take some time to remember my own ancestors. I will remember the lessons that I learned from them, not only when they were alive, but also what I know from learning about their lives. They were people too, going through the daily struggles and joys that we constantly are balancing in our lives. In this next week, in the United States, we will have a major election. I have personally felt the emotions and anxieties of others running high. And my own emotions are also present and fluctuating on the table. I encourage everyone to do what you need to do to take care of yourself, take care of your mental health, and your overall well-being, no matter what the outcome of this election. The reason I bring up our ancestors is that when we can remember what our own ancestors have gone through, and I don't just mean blood relatives, but maybe the people who cared for and nurtured you. When you can remember that they lived, that they went through their own struggles, and yet they survived and thrived, then hopefully you will also feel an infusion of strength to go through your own struggles. Why? Because you know that they survived, and you know that you can too. I went to a retreat once, and one of the speakers, a very brilliant mythologist among other things, made us do an exercise. In it, we closed our eyes and imagined ourselves stepping back 4 generations. I stepped back into imagining my mother at my age, what she was dealing with, what the world was like. What was the economy and the society like? What were some of the struggles that she had to overcome? What would her hope for me be? I also had to do this with my grandmother, great-grandmother, and great-great-grandmother. Even if I didn't know them well, and even if you don't know them well, you can still imagine some of the things they went through. You can imagine that you are their dreams manifest, the things that you have been alive to see and experience. And maybe one day, someone will do this same exercise, and you will be the person that they step back to. Our ancestors have gone through difficulties, through wars, pandemics, through economic decline. My ancestors have dealt with classism, racism, and so much more. And yet through it all, they still cultivated spaces for love, for joy, for hope, and for the belief that after the darkest night, dawn would come again. I am trusting that no matter what happens on the path before me, that as long as I'm alive, that there will be a dawn. I am trusting in the dawn. Florence Scovel-Shinn, who I've mentioned before in my video on affirmations, she said, "It is dark before the dawn, but the dawn never fails. Trust in the dawn." Despite looking ahead to the dawn, I'm also feeling gratitude for what we learn in the darker half of the year. I am also in reverence of what we learn in the darkness. This is really the other part of this week's discussion. We have become in some ways a society obsessed with light. There are lights all over. We live in an eternal day, thanks to the night lights and just the constant presence of, electricity and whatever is lighting up our world. I'm guilty of this too. And I should include here that optimism and a positive nature should not be mistaken for an inability to revel in the wide spectrum of experiences and emotions that we go through as humans. The darkness gets a bad rap. Part of that is because we have been trained to associate many things with the word itself. We have been conditioned to believe that the word dark is bad and associated with scary and less valuable things. In a world where bleaching creams are a thing, and people who have dark skin have been forced to hear that their complexion is not the standard of beauty to which people should aspire, and forced to see opportunities diminish because of their skin color, we must retrain ourselves on the word usage. And yet, dark skin is so amazingly beautiful. Have you ever seen melanin under the bright light of the sun? Breathtaking. Taking away some of the improper uses of the word darkness, I want you to imagine for a moment. You are awake in the night. Maybe you are standing outside. Everything is still, quiet, and eternally peaceful. You look up and you see the most amazing stars. It is the Milky Way, and you are blown away by the sheer radiance of the beauty swirling above your head. In this moment, you can think clearly, and you feel present in the stillness of the night. Our world needs the darkness. There are animals like turtles, for example, who need that darkness to navigate where they can safely lay their eggs. Our own bodies uses the cues of light and dark of the day to help structure our circadian cycle. In the darkness, we learn how to use all of our senses. We might not be able to see as well, but we can hear, touch, and feel. Seeds planted in the ground need the cool and dark place so that they can actually begin the transformation from seed to plant. When the world starts to get colder and darker, it is also a cue for us to turn inward, to rest more, to care for ourselves more, to heal, and to have a certain level of downtime that we just don't get in the daytime or in summer and spring. I also believe that in the darkest of times, we also realize how powerful the light is. The light needs the dark to reflect. So what does all of this mean for these times and for the week ahead? Because that is such a big topic that we just won't have the space to get into it. But it's something I want you to consider. I'm also asking you in the week ahead to do several things. If you're inclined, first, please take a few moments to reflect on your own ancestry. What were the strengths of those who came before you? What did they survive? And a very simple way to honor your ancestors at this time is just take a picture of someone that has passed on who you love. Put that on a table or atop a dresser, maybe add some flowers, or maybe something that they liked, a cookie, or bake a piece of bread or something that they may have enjoyed. And just think of your favorite memory with them. Offer gratitude that their strength runs through you, whether physically or spiritually. As the week progresses, I also want you to focus on your own self-care. I don't mean just bubble baths and lighting nice candles. I mean, I really want you to prioritize your care. Stop doom scrolling, don't get caught up in the fear or with things that you can't control. If there is something you can do, then do it. But if not, please don't let that worry consume you. Rest when you can. Talk to people that uplift your soul and your spirits. Spend some time out in nature. Practice gratitude for the things that are still going well. And if you feel overwhelmed and overcome by sadness or some strong emotion, feel it. And remember that we can only see the stars in the darkness, but we know that the dawn is coming. When the dawn does arrive, you will be stronger and wiser than before. You will realize that in your life, many things will happen, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the downright ugly. and most of what transpires will be out of our control. You will experience the entire gambit of emotions, everything from love to anger, and all that is in between. The darkness will teach you that no matter what happens, change comes, and you will have the ability to react in the positive or the negative to anything that you face. Whatever happens, though, please never give up. Look to the sky and remember that the dawn is coming, and with it, more joy. Thank you so much as always for watching. If you have enjoyed these videos and are enjoying them, please like, subscribe to the channel, comment, and definitely feel free to share these. I really appreciate it. And as always, may the stars shine brightly over your week, and may it be a good one. And this week I'm asking you to take extra special care of yourself. And remember that no matter what happens, you have the strength to survive it. Thank you so much.